Hello neighbor, this is Brad at eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at the eTrailer Invisible Base Plate Kit and doing an install on a 2021 Chevy Colorado. So this is going to be one of 5 main components of flat towing the vehicle. The other 4 that you're going to need are your tow bar, safety cable, wiring, and braking system. Your tow bar makes the connection between your motorhome and your vehicle. Your safety chains are a secondary safety while pulling the vehicle. Now your braking system will allow the vehicle to slow and stop itself. That way the motorhome doesn't have to rely on itself to stop it. And finally, your wiring system allows you to send signals to your turn signals and brake lights, keeping you safe and legal. So these are made out of steel construction with a nice black powder coat finish to keep them corrosion resistant. Something that's different between these and some of the other similar base plate kits is this is a 2-piece. There's no center crossbar. Now, these are pretty flush with the front of the vehicle so they don't protrude. So this base plate will allow you to use eTrailer, Demco, and Blue Ox tow bars. Now, your Roadmasters, you will need to buy separate adapters for it, but those can be found here at eTrailer. So this kit does include the removable arms, and installation is very simple. You just slide that in, and you give it a twist, and you can see the hole there. Now you have this nice pin, slide that in, and then secure it with that. Now, your tow bar will attach to here with a separate pin. When not using your arms, you can remove that, and it does come with these nice caps that simply pop in, which prevents road grime or anything else getting inside of there. The kit does come with this bracket, and it is intended to be mounted on right here. Now, my personal opinion, I like to keep all my components in the center, and that way it's nice and easy and they're out of the way. So what you can do with the included hardware is attach it to your license plate frame by drilling through here and putting some bolts there. So as you can see, there is a hole here to attach your safety chains to. Now as far as installation goes, it's pretty straightforward. It does require the removal of the front fascia and some minor trimming. It doesn't have any welding or drilling necessary, and it comes with all the required hardware. So let me walk you through the installation. To begin the installation, we're going to go ahead and remove these T15 bits. There's a total of 6 of them. Now, some models may have a whole nother top piece that has some push pins that you'll have to remove before getting to this point. But if you don't have that and yours is like this, we'll start by removing these. This is a T15 Torx bit. And just a little light pressure and we'll get these out of here. So for our next step, we're going to get towards getting the front fascia off. So in order to do that, you're going to see these T15s on the inside. Now, they do run along bottom here, but our main goal is to be able to pull this out for more access to separate the fascia from the fender. So we'll start here, work our way down, and there should be a total of 6, and that will peel this back. So we'll get these out. Now, if it does get tricky, sometimes closer to the tire it can be tight. If you need to, you can turn your wheel one way or the other, and that should open that up for you to get access to them, or find tools that maybe fit a little bit better. So with our T15s removed, we can now pull the inner fender liner out. We want to pull it back to gain enough access. Be careful on your tabs here that you don't bend them. But we're trying to access these 7mm bolts. Now there should be 3 of them, and that attaches the front fascia to the fender. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. Now that we have those bolts removed, we're going to try to do a little added protection to our bumper. Because you're removing the fascia, it's very easy when you're putting it back on that this will rub against your fender. Now, something as simple as putting a little bit of painter's tape is going to protect you from scratching and save a lot of headache. So we'll go ahead and do this. And you want to just run it along the lines. Doesn't have to go into it too much, but follow that. And then once you have it on a nice line there, just kind of run your finger down the center. You're going to want to make sure that you remove the clip on your fog lamps. Now this Colorado in particular does not have the factory ones, but if yours does, you're going to want to unplug that before removing the fascia. So now that we have this side done, repeat the same steps on the other side of the vehicle. Okay, so now we're going to take our 7mm, and you'll see this bolt here, which attaches to the lower fascia, and the metal bracket runs up to the bumper support. So just go ahead and loosen that off. And repeat on the other side. So different trims of this truck may require slightly different on this step. Now, what we're trying to really do is separate the fascia from the actual metal supports here. So there's this 15mm bolt that we're going to pull down. Some of the other instructions also have 2 T15 screws that you'll also have to remove. So we'll go ahead and get this off. So as you can see, the fascia should feel like it's slightly not attached there, have some wiggle to it. You're also going to want to repeat this step on the other side. So the next step is going to be removing a 10mm bolt that's kind of at a hard to see spot. You can see this opening, but through there should be a 10mm, and it's kind of at an angle. So you're going to want a 10mm socket and extension. Now, the instructions didn't point this out, but this is a required step in order to remove your fascia. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. And if you drop that in the bumper, not a big deal. As you're going to be removing the fascia, that should drop out. So go ahead and repeat the step on the other side of the vehicle. So removing the fascia, you're going to want to grab an extra set of hands just so you don't drop your bumper while doing this. It's kind of a two-person job. This is a fairly easy fascia to remove. What you're going to want to do is grab down here and pull straight out. Now, there are little, you can see tabs here holding on the top. You may have to pry those up, but with 2 people, it should be a pretty simple process. We're now going to remove our tow hook. Now, the first thing you see, there's this little foam pad here, which simply slides off. Set that aside and keep that for later. Now, the next thing you're going to want is an 18mm socket and also an 18mm wrench. And we're going to remove these 2 bolts. So, working from the front here, I put my wrench on one side. And this bolt should simply slide out. And we'll do the next one. Now for the next step, you're going to see this little lip here. It does stick it out a little bit, which could cause clearance issues, so we're going to go ahead and grind that down. So to check that, it says no more than 1/4 inch. We can actually take our part, mock it up there, and see that clearance. So with this step, obviously be sure to have gloves and safety glasses while doing this. We're choosing to use an angle grinder, and we're going to grind that down just a little bit to get that clearance. So we have a little grind here. I'm going to check and make sure that this is actually fitting. So I'm going to grab our driver's side, obviously make sure it's the correct side that you're working on. You're going to kind of put that in place. And where our mounting hole is, you can see placed against that, there is some wobble. So I'm going to keep the grinding going. So with this ground down for clearance, next step is put a little spray of enamel spray paint. Could be clear or black, whatever you choose, but put that on the exposed metal, and that's going to protect it from future rust. So with this side done, repeat the same steps on the other side of the vehicle. The instructions don't specify to take this air dam underneath here off. It does say to take this bolt as well as the one on the other side, but we're going to remove these 2 back ones just for ease of access for the next few steps. So it should be a 16mm. So you can see the hole here through the frame. We have our bushing. This is going to slide in from the inside, and it should set flush with the frame. So when using your supplied hardware from the kit, you're also going to get blue Loctite. It's important to put these on the outer threads, and just a small little line like that should work itself through as you're putting it in. So we're going to go ahead and take the longest bolt from the kit and stick that through the bushing, and it should feed through on the other side. With that bolt through, you're going to take your base plate here and note which side that you're using to make sure you have the correct one. And this top hole here is simply going to fit just like that. Now, take your lock washer and hand tighten the bolt on there. You don't need to torque this down. We will tighten that up later. From here, we're going to take our 3.5-inch bolts and we're going to feed them in from the outside going in. And you can see the 2 slots there that they're going to feed in. So, just simply, you may have to move it around a little bit to get those to go through, but once you find a nice groove, it should slide in. Also, this is going to want to tilt, so maybe having to move it around to straighten the hole through will help you get that in there. On our backside now, we are going to put a flat washer followed by a lock washer, and then hand tighten the nut. Now we're going to take our 3-inch bolt, place your flat washer on here, and we're going to slide it through here and through our bushing. Now you may have to lift just a little bit to get that to slide through, and then on the back side you have a lock washer and your nut. So now we're going to tighten down our hardware, and we are going to follow a sequence in order to make sure that it's tightened down correctly. We have 2 here that we're going to do first. We're going to move up to the top one, and then we're going to go to the front. The 3 on this outside here will be 19 millimeter, and your front one is going to be a 16. We'll go ahead and torque these down with our torque wrench. And again, we're going to follow that same sequence of tightening that we used for installing the bolts. Just another reminder, this is a different torque spec than the other 2, and your front one's also going to be different. So definitely check your instructions while doing it to make sure you have the proper settings. So your instructions don't specify a perfect way to put your safety cable through, but really what you're looking to do is put it around your frame rail next to your body mount, and that's going to wrap around that and then attach to our plate, and that's going to give us an added sense of security if the hardware does fail. So what we found seems to work best is you're going to feed this over the top, kind of go at an angle, and it is a tight fit, so take your time. We're going to go for 2 loops around the frame rail. Now while doing this, you want to check to make sure that there's nothing hot or any moving parts that this would come into contact with. Once we have those looped through the frame rail, we can put these on each side. We're going to run our hook through the cable. And then tighten this down with an 18. Now you can see the threads here against the plate. You want to try to move that hook to get a little bit of extra clearance so it doesn't bind. So you can see that lip there, have that sticking out, and that's really going to help. Grab our wrench real quick and just tighten that down, and you're good. So once you're done on this side, you're going to want to repeat that on the other side and then install your underbody panel. So in the instructions, they do say that if you have tow hooks, it should fit in without trimming. What we found is it's close, but not quite. So what we're going to do is I marked this off with tape to give us a nice clean edge to show us where we're cutting. So it is going to be this bottom edge, and then also this little notch, and we're going to follow this upper body line, and so just this little kind of shark's fin right there kind of comes off. So with the rotary tool, just slowly make your line and follow your tape. Once you trim your fascia as necessary, you can go ahead and reinstall the fascia in the reverse order that you took it off. And that's going to do it for our look and installation of our eTrailer Invisible Baseplate Kit on our 2021 Chevy Colorado.